Today is September the 20th, 2015, and we're watching the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. And today in Los Angeles we had very hot weather. It was right around 100 degrees. The barometric pressure has dropped for the third straight day. Currently it's at 29.92, and the temperature at 7 p.m. was 86 degrees. Alright, and we had a dew point of 56.4 degrees. Alright, with a relative humidity of around 37%. So it wasn't too humid, although they are forecasting humid weather for the next couple of days because of this incoming weather. This is a new tropical depression, 16E. It is moving slightly to the northeast. It's listed on the National Hurricane Center as moving due north, but it's actually tracking more northeasterly than due north. Alright, so this upper level low that has been offshore for several days, around 5 days, has now begun to pick up some moisture from these neighboring thunderstorms, and we can see that pocket of thunderstorms right there. And over here, this was a dry upper level low pressure as well. But something happened in the last 2 days over here. Either the transmitter was turned off for a period of time and it began to pick up some moisture from the thunderstorms in the area. And so now we have a small weather system right here, but there is still high pressure from a HAARP transmitter right here, and that is protecting Hawaii from this storm over here, which is actually moving to the east. And it's also being blown apart. We can look at this close up later on, but that core is being hit, and there is a nice blast wave visible. Actually, in the very first frame we get to see what happens there. There is a large blast pattern on the back side of this eye wall or core. This is not a hurricane, it's just a strong thunderstorm cell, very large cell. Alright. Now let's go ahead and look at the this is the rainbow map. You can see the intensity of this storm here, and it's also being hit. We can see that activity over on the west side of that core. Blast wave visible, and we can see 16E right here, which is moving sort of in the northeast direction through into Arizona. Now the northernmost thunderstorm in this cluster is being blown apart, and we'll get a close-up of that here shortly. Alright, this is the southwest water vapor loop, and we can see the thunderstorm clusters moving north towards Arizona and also California. This area right here, right there, is being hit by a transmitter, and we can see the the blast wave all through here, and also out to the edge here on the western edge of that system. This is being targeted. We can see the violent aftermath of that event right there. Okay, now this weather here is spinning around that low offshore. Alright, let's keep going here. Now what's interesting is that showing up on the 500 millibar pressure charts, there's an area of high pressure right over the High Sierra, spanning all the way up to around Lake Tahoe and well down into Southern California, and that is only showing up on the 500 millibar chart. It doesn't show up on the 300 or the sea level. Okay, but this weather, we can see the pattern, what's happening here. This is coming up into Arizona, and immediately turns out to the east. Okay. Now the forecast for rain is for Monday and or Tuesday for Southern California. They're talking about some rain. That is the weathercasters on TV. But it's hard to say because of all this high pressure. There is still a very large high pressure pressing down on this area, and we can see that in another map here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the, this is the infrared loop. You can see that blast pattern here exiting out the western edge of that storm right there at a very high velocity right here. It's moving out at a perpendicular to the general flow, which is to the northwest. You see that blast pattern right out of the side there. Alright, okay, let's look at some of these charts. This is the sea level chart, and we have that low indicated right here. This is 16E moving in over Baja and over northern Mexico right here. Okay, and let's take a look at the 500 millibar. And here's that pocket of high pressure right here, and it runs right along the High Sierra, right along all the way up to just around Lake Tahoe, just south of that area, and down into the desert areas and out into Arizona. And that could serve to block some of this moisture coming up from 16E, and also block anything that is spinning around here. We'll just have to watch what happens. It's hard to say, but this is indicated as a high, and that could block some of this weather. So we'll keep an eye on all that. This is the high that's been out there for forever, it seems like. There it is. And okay, now the 300 millibar chart indicates that we've got a low here. That also shows up on the, this is 500 again, here's the 300. But over here, we've got a high that's all over this whole area right here. And it's also right on top of 16E. So this high extends all over the area here, including this low pressure tropical depression. Alright, so it's just kind of hard to say what's going to happen. We could get some rain. I kind of don't think we're going to get much rain. That's going to be my, I'm going to stick with that forecast. But we'll see what develops. Alright. See, we took a look at that. We saw that. Okay. Saw that. Alright, well, this is just the northwest Atlantic. I brought this up because there's a very large low pressure spinning here. This is Tropical Storm Ida. And this is a very large vortex, and they've got heat on it. There's a HAARP transmitter right here, and we can see that. But this has so much moisture to draw from all sides that it's hard to say what could happen here. We've got a flow here. This has all been cleared out by transmitters. So you're thinking obviously about blocking this from getting anywhere near the northeast. This is moving in a northwesterly direction according to the National Hurricane Center. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. That's a very large vortex. Okay, so let's keep going here. This is the infrared loop, and we can see the dry air in the center of that vortex. For the most part, that is the HAARP transmitter trying to counteract that counterclockwise rotation. The HAARP transmitter will attempt to force dry air down on top of this, and that will spin clockwise and try to neutralize this system. So we'll watch that carefully. That could be a real hellraiser. Okay, now here's the Hawaiian Island area, and we can see what's happening to this storm over here. This is being hit by a transmitter. There's a very strong headwind heading to the east, and that is exposing this core. All of the and we can see clockwise rotation developing right here because of that high that's being forced right into the side of this storm. So there's a HAARP transmitter right here, and we can see that very clearly. And the storm is also being targeted by possibly a laser or a maser with an M, maser. That is microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. The maser preceded the laser in the 50s, and basically a maser is coherent microwave energy, just like a laser is coherent the amplified light. It's just a different set of frequencies. The The microwave band extends from a gigahertz approximately all the way up to 100 gigahertz. However, water vapor will only absorb certain frequencies of microwave energy. So that's just a little background on the maser, and that could be used to do some of this type of work. Satellite-based, very highly targeted, focused energy where they can hit these at will anywhere in the entire ocean. So I think that these are satellite-based. I just don't see how they can get ships around economically and quick enough to deal with all the myriads of thunderstorms that can do a lot of damage. That isn't to say that the ships out there are not doing any good work. You know, they have their function, but we'll just keep an eye on all of this, and we'll get to the bottom of it eventually. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next map. This is the infrared loop, and we can see here that this core was being hit, and right there, and in the visible light mode, we can see a blast ring right here and all the way around there. Let's take a look at that. That ring goes all the way around here. That is a HAARP blast, and that's a high pressure shock wave from the intense instantaneous heating of the core of that storm. Let's go back to the infrared mode again and see what happens. Right at the very first frame, we see the very first frame indicates the point at which it was targeted, right there. And not only do we see that big indent from where that transmitter hit, but there's also a white area in the core. They could have hit this twice. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. That is a very large system, and it could do some major damage out here over the Hawaiian Islands. All right, and here is the water vapor loop once again, and we can see some diminishment of the core, and there's a large blast wave right up here and on the backside. So there's plenty of evidence that there is some tampering going on there, and we have this HAARP transmitter right here, which is pushing that right along. And we have high pressure stationed right over Hawaii, and we see what's happened here. There's a flow right down through these two weather systems. Look at the outbound flow pattern right here. It looks like a river going through there. Okay, so we're going to keep a close eye on everything going on here. This is interesting stuff. There's the infrared loop. Again, let's go to the, we've seen that. This is the blast pattern on that one storm. Okay, let's go look at the, now here is the southwest rainbow loop. And here we can see that blast pattern right here. There's a big blast pattern there, and we see a water vapor shooting out to the west at a very high velocity, perpendicular to all the flow. This is moving out of the western side at high velocity, and we have a general sort of a gentle north-easterly trek on this tropical depression 16E. Okay, now let's look at this in the visible mode, and we can see a high pressure blast coming right out of the side of that, and also some violent interaction up here. So this will be interesting to see what happens in the next by tomorrow. We'll do an update tomorrow on all of this, but I kind of think that we're not going to get a whole lot of rain. I just kind of don't think we're going to get a whole lot of rain. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just going out on a limb. But this is being impacted here. They're killing this off. And between what's happening here and that high pressure that's parked over those mountains, the High Sierra area, and also down into the interior of California, that is something we'll have to watch and wait and see what happens. That is interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that. This is a large low pressure. It is taking on some moisture, and we'll just keep an eye on everything, and we'll learn something from it. So the weather guys on TV don't seem to know what's going to happen either. They are forecasting rain, but they don't sound too sure about it. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so that's it.